Hello. I wanted to do a video today on how Hazel slept through the night last night. Just kidding. But she seriously did, and I feel like it's worth a video. But that's not what I'm going to talk about today, really. But I did wake up before my alarm, before I had to get up to get the kids ready for school. And I woke up refreshed, and I felt like this could be a new chapter of my life. We'll see how tonight goes. To be continued, but what a difference it made, seriously. Wow. Sleep is so important. This is not what I'm talking about either in the video, but sleep is so important in recovery. Like, eating disorders are anxiety disorders, and getting enough sleep is absolutely imperative for people who suffer from anxiety and people who struggle with eating disorders. And so if you're in recovery and you're not getting sleep, you're not allowing yourself to rest throughout the day, and you're not getting a lot of sleep every night, you need to look at how you can change your schedule or what modifications or changes you need to make and prioritize sleep. Because when you're making changes throughout the day, your brain is, observing and learning different kinds of things. Now, my husband taught this, and he read it in some article. It might be already a given, but it's like proven, scientifically based, I'll say, that, and again, I don't know the reference, but if you're interested, I'll figure out what it is. But those changes that you're making throughout the day, when you're sleeping is when your brain's doing the rewiring. That's when it's like actually kind of like solidifying the things that you did that day. And so sleep is so important. It's so important. Do your best to get good sleep. If you're a mom and you've got a ton of kids, I don't want this to stress you out. If you're like, I've got a newborn and I don't sleep, oh my gosh, I can't recover. Yes, you can. It'll be tricky. It'll be harder, but you can. But if you're someone who's like staying up till 3 watching Netflix, or you're not eating all day, and so most of your eating consumes your evening, and then you're getting to bed super late because you're not eating, do what you need to do so that you can get some proper sleep. Anyways, what I want to talk today about for reals in this video is I want you to acknowledge the significance of every action that you take. Every little small thing you do throughout the day impacts your recovery. It impacts what your brain is observing. It is sending messages one way or another to your brain, everything you're doing, right? And so in this very moment, what you're doing in this very moment will determine where you are in a month, in 6 months, in a year, what you're doing in this very moment. So if in this very moment you're listening to this video and you're not eating and you're watching it because you're mentally hungry, and you think, oh, okay, if I watch some videos, maybe that will make me feel like I have permission to eat, but you're not eating, right? And you watch videos and you watch videos and you watch videos, and then finally you go to the kitchen, you get something safe to eat. Those are all little actions that you just did that did not help to reinforce to your brain that you're not afraid of weight gain. Now, another scenario could be you're watching this video and you're eating a cheeseburger and milkshake, and you're listening to me say this, and you're like, yeah, this action is counting. Yeah, this is getting me closer to recovery. I'm so proud of myself. And you can ask yourself, if I keep this up in a year's time, I'm gonna be recovered. Like, I want you to have that kind of feeling when I say these things, not like, every action counts. Every action is going to determine whether or not, oh my gosh. Now, I'm not saying you have to be perfect, and I'm not saying if you take an action that's disordered that it's all lost and you're never going to recover, but each action piles up on top of each other, right? It builds a new way of thinking. And so if you're constantly making choices to escape facing fears, thinking it's really not that harmful, it's not going to have that big of an impact, it's innocent, this is fine, this is totally fine, and you're someone who's been in recovery for a while and you don't feel like you're making progress, that's why. Because it's not fine. It's actually not okay. It's actually keeping you from rewiring. It's keeping you from overcoming all of your fears. It's keeping you from breaking your rules. It's keeping you from allowing your body to change in ways that it needs to change in order to recover. And so every action you take from this moment on, in this video, I want you to think, what's my next action I can take? What's the next best thing I can do? What's a behavior that I can do that's going to teach my brain that I'm not afraid? I'm not afraid to eat. I'm not afraid to gain weight. I'm not afraid to be still. Maybe that means you're going to go get a bag of chips and sit down on the couch with your feet up. Maybe that means you're going to take a nap. Maybe that means you're going to go out tonight to dinner with whoever invited you, and you're going to say yes. But also, because in this moment matters, you're also going to go get a really big snack and eat it. And it's not going to have anything to do with what you're eating tonight. Okay, so really think about this. I tended to fall into the trap of like kind of like just seeing like the big picture, which I talk about a lot, but then it would kind of like, I'd overlook things. I'm like, oh, it's not a big deal until the end of recovery. And I realized these are big deals, actually. These are big deals. And I see how throughout the months of recovery, I wasn't addressing them. I wasn't seeing them. I was overlooking them. And so if you want to recover as fast as you can, you want to get to freedom, you don't want to drag this thing out and turn it into a game, then make every decision count. Make every action you're doing count. And ask yourself, is this getting me closer to recovery? Okay? And if you're doing things that you're like, oh shoot, so I do realize these are a bit disordered, fine, go ahead in 6 months, years time, and ask yourself, how are things gonna be different? What do you think? Like on November 4th or something, you're gonna all of a sudden switch. That's your plan, is like in 4 months, then I'll like really get serious about it. Next week is then when I'll get really serious about it. Actually, I have this thing coming up this weekend, but after that, then I'm going to get serious about it. Like, then that's when I'm going to start, right? So there's always going to be these things that you're kind of like thinking are going to get you started. Nothing's going to get you started until you just start. Okay. You may not agree with this depending on where you're at in recovery, but the pain of being sick is way worse than the pain that you may experience in recovery. So don't let your eating disorder fool you into thinking recovery is so hard. It's too painful. I can't do it. Are you joking me? How long have you had an eating disorder for? You're looking at it through rose-colored glasses, thinking that it's not that big of a deal. It's not that bad, right? Whenever you start kind of like contemplating full recovery, and you get really serious about making changes, suddenly it's like your eating disorder is convinced you don't really have an issue. It's really not that bad. It's totally maintainable. No one's saying anything anymore. It doesn't make me that miserable, right? Don't let your eating disorder fool you. In videos like this, when I'm saying change now, make decisions now, they're going to help your future self be recovered. Remember, like, go to the depths of despair with when you've had your worst moments of your eating disorder. You don't have to be at rock bottom now, by the way, for this to work, this pattern of thinking. But go back to the place where you've been with your eating disorder when it was absolutely gut-wrenchingly miserable, okay? And then you tell me that wasn't one of the worst times of your life. Recovery will feel really challenging, but it's rewarding. You're actually getting towards a goal that's going to allow you for mental freedom. You're experiencing a lot of discomfort, but you're getting closer to a place that I hope, if you're in recovery, you want to be, right? Free from your eating disorder. And so with that knowledge, you can experience distress. You can be a little bit more tolerant of the things that feel really uncomfortable and that you just want to quit. But remembering, at least I'm getting somewhere, like at least I'm getting closer. This misery has an end, or this discomfort has an end. Where when you're in your eating disorder, that misery is just misery, right? It's really just sucking the life out of you, and it's destroying your relationships, and it's making you feel disconnected, and you've got walls up all over the place. And maybe you're at a place where you appear as though you're doing fine, right? And people aren't as worried about you, and so you think you can get away with it. So what? They're not in your head though. Like, those people might think you're fine, but you're not fine. So stop lying to yourself. Stop being in some level of denial to protect yourself from recovery, right? Get out of that denial. Accept the fact that you're not happy. If you were happy and you were fully free from your eating disorder, you would not be listening. You would not be listening to this video. So in this moment, I want you to ask yourself, what's the next thing I can do to make a change? Now, I don't mean like, you know what, I'm going to meditate. My therapist has told me I need to meditate, and I need to be still, and I need to just think more. And I feel like that is a recovery goal. I'm going to do that. Is that helping you to eat more? Is that helping you to be more still? Maybe if you're meditating, you're being still for a little bit, but like, is that actually helping you to eat more? Or I'm going to write in my journal. Yes, that's a recovery action, right? You're going to do everything that you can possibly come up with other than what I'm talking about. And that's eating more. That's eating more, and that's resting and allowing your body to go wherever it needs to go for you to heal your mind from this disorder, to get your body your body and your mind out of that migratory response. Shut it down, get back into a place where your brain is thinking clearly. It's not going to feel as scary once it gets there. And once you've been there for a while, all the fears that you have right now are going to fall away. But only if you stay committed, and only if you see this to the end. Don't give up before you get to the good part. Please don't. This video was an absolute ramble. I'll admit that. I went all over the place, but I just ran with it and just kept talking. I don't even know what the theme of this was. Hopefully you got something out of it, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.